Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today in the arena we are checking out the Esper Brawl deck built around Alana Artful Provocateur. This card is pretty darn sweet. Flying, Death Touch, Lifelink, other creatures you control with flying get +1/+0 whenever you cast an artifact or enchantment spell, create a 1/1 blue fairy token with flying. I know I can't move it over here. Like, I can't move the card around on this deck viewer. Or I would. I'd move it over here so you could see it easier. Sorry. We must carry on. Can I sleeve up? I can't even sleeve up. I keep trying. So the idea, of course, many artifacts or enchantments so that you can play with this to make an army of fairies. And the Flying Death Touch lifelink thing is pretty good on its own. Looking at a few other key cards in the deck. For the most part, we're playing a lot of filler type of artifacts. Wishing Well is a filler artifact for sure. Enters the battlefield scry 2, but for 4 mana, draw 2 cards. Pretty neat artifact build. And then we've got the Golden Egg, which is 2 to enter the battlefield and draw a card. You can sacrifice it for 3 life by tapping 2 mana, or for 1 mana, you can add a mana of any color. It does not ramp, it filters. Let's see. Otherwise, there's kind of just a lot of somewhat awkward artifacts, enchantments, and there are some neat creatures. Shine Chaser is a 1/1 flying vigilance creature for 1 white/blue, but it does become a 2/2 if you control an artifact and 3/3 if you control an enchantment, doing an impression of Mantis Rider, very strong card from the past in exactly blue and white. But it doesn't have haste even then, and not the most powerful thing, but just kind of a nice card and gives you an idea of where the deck is going. The Arcanist's Owl is the hybrid uncommon for this color, for the blue-white color combination. When it enters the battlefield, look at your top 4, grab an artifact or enchantment, and hope you don't whiff. 2 cards that are very strong on the top end that make this deck a little bit better and try to save it from mediocrity are the Shimmer Dragon, which blue 4, 5, 6. As long as you control 4 or more artifacts, the dragon has hexproof. If you tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, you draw a card. So if you get this down with 4 artifacts on the board, you have a hexproof flying 5/6, and you draw 2 extra cards a turn. That's strong. Look at, I got my castles and no one else can has my castles. That's what this tells me. And then here we go. We got a Banish into Fable, which is probably the strongest card in the deck, but I still haven't cast it. I've never had it. So my impression of this deck as weaker than the other 2 I've shown so far might have a lot to do with the fact that I've never played this card, never drawn it. For white and a blue, when you cast this spell from your hand, copy it if you control an artifact. Copy it if you control an enchantment. You may choose new targets for the copies, and its return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. You create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. So yeah, if you have an artifact and an enchantment, you make 3 knights and you bounce 3 permanents on the opponent's side. Huge tempo play. Tremendous. And then looking around the rest of the deck is, yeah, mana. There is a sneaky emergence zone, because the first thing I saw when I saw this fairy is like, it needs flash. Well, it doesn't have flash, but Emergence Zone can give flash. All right, let's jam some games with this Esper deck. Okay, we've got an early Signet. This Workshop Elders card is interesting. We'll see how it goes. Our opponent is the aggro deck. The only one, the Knights deck. So here comes the Grave. We're friendly now. All right. Mantower. Signet to the battlefield. Let's see when our opponent gets a creature online. What do you got? Tournament Grounds. Ancestral Blade comes out, makes a 1/1 soldier, attaches to it. Let's keep it rolling. So I don't actually have artifacts or enchantments yet to play with this card, which is kind of what the deck is built around. And if I just play her out and the opponent, I guess it's really tempo positive if I play her out. This is an early game commander, one that you want to resolve early to get the value from as often as possible. If the opponent spends their turn mortifying or desparking this, then they don't get to keep developing their board, and she'll be back. Belle of the Brawl, a 3/2 menace. Whenever gives other knights +1/+0 when you attack. And yeah, we drew an artifact. Sweet. So unlike other decks where you really need to save your Prison Realm for the bombs, here I think we just play these cards out because every knight is potentially pressure that the opponent is putting on me. So I don't think that's too bad to Prison Realm this. We also generate a big advantage in tempo this early in the game. And yeah, we'll take that banner. That banner can pump up our fairies to an even better clock. Lifelink, Death Touch, Flying, other creatures you control get +1/+0, and makes fairies when you resolve artifacts and enchantments. Quite the stat ball. When she sticks, the opponent is in trouble, to put it mildly. Mask of Immolation makes an elemental can sacrifice to deal 1 damage to something. Probably going to kill a fairy, because this beating is going to come fast and furiously. We definitely want our 7 mana for the Workshop Elders, so we're not trying to cycle it with Bag of Holding. Let's choose blue, pump up our creatures. So the bag says discard a card, you may exile it, draw a card, then discard. We're probably going to run this no matter what, but I don't have anything I want to discard. We can just Chemist's Insight instead. That's way better. I always forget that this makes a mana and it doesn't enter the battlefield tapped, so it's kind of like a 2-cost artifact. So you get a mana back. Basic mana rock geology. I think you gotta use the mask. The opponent's definitely losing the race. If they don't kill off a fairy, they will be sad. Hits. So Workshop Elders is on the way. 7 mana, artifact creatures you control have flying. At the beginning of your combat, turn a non-creature artifact into an artifact creature and put 4 counters on it. So it makes 4/4 flyers at the start of every combat step. So the Bag of Holding is likely going to be flying over for lethal soon. Or almost lethal. It's really... Is it a blue? No, it doesn't become a blue artifact creature. That'd be too broco. Alright, we'll just draw these cards. The lifelink from Alayla proving crucial to the race here. The Knights have been swinging, but I'm still at 22. This is my bag. You're about to see how it works. Okay, we are a 5/4. It was a 4/4. This is +1/+0 to other flying creatures, that's why. Okay, got it. Yeah, this gives flying creatures a bonus and the other thing, anthems, for a color. Hand. I don't know. We've got a lot of artifacts, but we're missing white mana. We have kind of a draw card that can be sacked for white mana, but we wouldn't want to sack our artifacts. This one's tough. I'm going to keep it, but I'm really not sure if I should. We're playing against Jund. Korvold, the Curse King, 2 black-green. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you have to sacrifice a permanent, but whenever you sacrifice a permanent, +1/+1 counter, draw a card. It's a synergy. He's a synergy dragon. Temple of Malady. To the bottom. Worst draw on the deck, probably. For this specific situation. But hey, we found a guild gate, so we're going to have an awkward turn, followed by an Alayla turn, probably. This deck doesn't have a ton of removal. It has a ton of weird, like, 3-mana creatures, for the most part. 2 of their best cards are Dreadhorde Invasion and Priest of the Forgotten Gods, and if we see either of those this turn, we are way behind, but nope, not yet. We could play the Suit, which has power equal a number of artifacts and enchantments we control, but I don't think now is the time. My plot is to play this, then play these things, because our opponent's removal, they don't have that much. Plaguecrafter could be annoying. Savvy Hunter. Yep. Whenever this attacks, make a food, sacrifice 2 foods, draw a card. So we could put this off for a turn. And then we'd at least get the Scrabbling Claws right away, and we'd play around Plague Crafter. To do that, I have to take 3 points. I could put out the suit, but the suit's not ready to spar. Tough call. Giving up another turn doesn't feel good, but I'm gonna go for it. There's really only 2 cards to play around. One is Baked into a Pie, which you can't play around. It's basically murder and make a food token. But the other is Plague Crafter. So I may as well work around the Plague Crafter. Champion. Whenever a token enters the battlefield, +1/+1 counter. That includes food tokens. And take 3. And here we go. Big turn. Our opponent seems to lack red mana so far. Do they have another follow-up? Jeez. They're really doing it so far. They got their critters on the board. If they have a red mana, the Curse King is going to be strong. What we're trying to do is get to untap with this so that we can make enough flyers so that we can play Sephara. Sephara can go spar with the dragon. Here's a claws, here's a fairy. Pass that turn. So next turn, if we get to keep Alela, Ancestral Blade and Suit, we'd have to draw a land to play the Sky's Blade or a cheaper artifact. An untapped land or a cheap artifact. Yeah, everybody's coming in. That implies to me pretty strongly that the Plague Crafter is part of this. I'm going to block the Druid, but I'm not going to block with my 2/1. Play around the Plague Crafter. Thrashing Brontodon, gross. Does the opponent want to use that to disrupt my artifacts? Probably not. Let's exile from your graveyard. The opponent does have Find Finality, and while they're more likely to use the Finality side considering how wide our board can go, the Find side can be annoying. Didn't draw the land. That's frustrating. Alright, Blade up. Opponent's still off of red mana, which is one of the reasons we're kind of still in the game. Let's play out the Shambling. We can't play the Mace because it requires white. We only have 1 white. We used it to play the Blade. No regrets there. And now we can attack with some flyers. We might see Brontodon take the suit down, but we'll see. If we get to untap here, Sephara looks really good. Weird. So what do they have in their graveyard that's that important? Or what do they have for graveyard synergy that's that important? I should know. I've played the deck several times, but I can't think of anything I would blow my Brontodon up to target the Scrabbling Claws with that I cared that much about when there's a Shambling Suit on the battlefield. When I'm playing the Artifact Enchantment deck, I don't know. I'm curious to see how this turns out. Our opponent's still down red mana. They do have the ability to sack these food tokens to draw a card. Like, there's Finality. Alright. Yeah, I was worried about that. 1 of in the deck. Sometimes they just have it, you guys. And leaves behind a 6/6. All Mage's Binding off the top. I am in a bad place. This has flash. Don't panic. Right. Lock that down. Oh, tell me they're out of gas. Okay, they're missing a color. We're missing our 6th land. Oh, God. It's like the best card in their deck. Alright. Fight on. God. Oh, man, if I go with the dragon, it's so bad. I need to get them to activate the priest. At least set them behind a little. I guess I run you out. If the opponent priests it away by drawing the land, then at least I have the dragon to fall back on and the opponent's down a creature. But if they draw 2 creatures in a row, I'm in a ton of trouble. It's a tough call. There's not really a way to know what's going to happen here. I guess the dragon can draw a card even if the opponent finds a way to kill it. So let's go for the play that has like tremendous upside. And hope the opponent doesn't draw a creature. Or a red source to play the Fate, the Cursed King. At worst case scenario, we draw a card. At best case scenario, we can start going crazy. And the scoop! They didn't draw it. Oh my goodness. Scary turns. Scary, scary gamble there. No gamble, no future. Alright, we've got a Bag of Holding and a Claws, and a Massacre Girl and an Elders, and we're on the draw. It's ugly. It's an ugly hand. But we do have all of our colors, and this deck is a bottle of clunk half the time. At least the Bag of Holding might turn some of the clunk into something good. Knights will be under pressure quickly. Get a white source onto the battlefield. Next turn we'll probably play the tapped land Watery Grave with Bag of Holding. And a Signet on 2. Well, it's not a creature, but it's mana fix and it's ramp. It may turn into some powerful effects. Our priority going forward is going to be to hit our land drops so that we can massacre and banish and keep from dying. So, I'm sure a threat is coming. It's the Inspiring Veteran. Other knights you control get +1/+1. That is not good for Massacre Girl. We need a 1/1 along the way. And Prison Realm, on time, looking gorgeous. We gotta get rid of that Inspiring Veteran. It just buffs everything too well. And we're trying to scry into land. Land. Nope. Putting you on the bottom hurts my soul, but you gotta go. Land is the only acceptable option. Well, Smitten Sword Master's a 2/1 lifelink now. The 1 black kind of adventure mode, the Drain, is very good later in the game, but not going to work out here. Our opponent plays Ancestral Blade. Fine little card. They're going to move it over, I guess, for the lifelink. Makes sense. Little limited tech. Got me. That's not a big turn, and if they miss a land drop too, I'm pretty happy. Huh. So Animating Faerie can turn the Bag of Holding into a 4/4 and then come back as a 2/2 later, which is interesting. I'd rather draw land. I really would. So what I'm going for here, I think I get rid of the Elders. Oof. Looking bad. Looking bad. Here's a Scab Claws, and we'll pass the turn. We might have to sack the Scab Claws to draw a card and get deeper for a land next turn. Wait and see what our opponent has. Oh, that's bad. That lets them rebuild very nicely from a Massacre Girl. Midnight Reaper. Whenever a creature dies, use a life. Draw a card. Non-token, so right now it would be 2 creatures, but it does give them the ability to keep playing out onto the board because they know they'll rebuild. Okay, so we'll go with Signet. We'll go with Bag of Holding. Still digging for that land. There we go. What's the best card to keep? I think that we get rid of the Faerie. Faerie's pretty medium. Play our land. We can sack the Scrabbling Claws to exile this and draw another card, which I think we're going to want to do. Also, cards we exile, we can still get back with the bag. Alright. Go. Or is it exile? It's all cards exiled with Bag of Holding. Never mind. That would be too sweet. Get all your exile back with Bag of Holding. I think that that would actually be a really, like, for 4 mana, that's like a janky Mimi type thing that you have to set up. That seems like a pretty good build to me, but maybe it's broken. Alright, next turn we'll be massacring. Our opponent will be losing 3 life, drawing 3 cards, but we have to reset the board. So, no choice there. Let's exile you, draw a card. Get deeper in the deck. Mortify. You know, I could just banish into Fable. That is really excellent. And it's an instant? Yeah, that's really good. Because we can bounce this, this, and this. And this. Alright. So I don't want my opponent to attack, do I? I could also mortify this, bind this, and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. You. Out of there. Time for the... Who has the Knight Army now? I got the White Knights now, mister. I'm out knighting the Knight deck. None of these fly. They have vigilance? Yep. Crash in. Might as well. They're at 34. We have some work to do here. Layla. Got me on my knees. Tempo. Huge tempo swing here. I'm curious to see how the opponent plans to rebuild. We've still got Massacre Girl in our back pocket, along with some removal spells and a Bag of Holding we've been working with. It's good stuff. It is good stuff. The opponent's also limited on black mana. Alright, it's about to get better. Gwen's back. You throw this in there to draw a card. Okay. I mean, that's fine with me. A little more life for the opponent. Ancestral Blade is freed up. Equip cost Knight 0, so the opponent can move the blade over here for free. And there it is. So let's start with a Bag of Holding, see if we can replace this land with something better. Replace the land with a land, it happens. Alright, I think what we're doing is mortifying you. We could also bind it. There's no other knight on the battlefield right now, and it has to be an equipped creature you control attacks. Okay, so this could attack too to draw cards. We don't want cards drawn. Let's move this up here. Let's do this. Blow up your commander. Back into the command zone. Slam. Knocked him down to 20. Good old Magic starting life total. 3 cards under here. They're getting to be good ones. Now that we have enough mana for the Elders, this can be a very powerful card. The Animating Faerie is like a mini version of that, but more flying creatures can't be too bad. I'm guessing that the play pattern for Bag of Holding would be to use it as much as you can and don't sacrifice it until you need the cards, just to get max value. Here comes the Midnight Reaper. Still another black mana here. We know that our opponent has the Wintmore Commander, which is black and white, 2 mana. Toughness is equal to the number of knights you control. Death Touch. And when it attacks, another target knight gains indestructible. Command zone. Yep, our opponent went with the D-Spark. They found it. Good call. Good call. This card's a beating. Blade up. And pass. Because the knights have been crashing in lately. Alright, we've got 8 mana. So I think the play is Alayla and Guild Globe. Just keep the pressure on. Guild Globe generates another Faerie, draws a card, gets a steeper in the deck. Smothering Tithe, oh boy. Alright, think we keep the team coming in. Don't think there's a good reason to hold back on the night beating. The opponent doesn't get to draw a card if the token dies. And if they want to trade away their Reaper, I'm very happy with that. So, yep. And behold, we've taken the life total advantage in the game for the first time. Hype. I need to find a way to shuffle my deck, get my dragon back. Ah, the opponent is going to scoop it up. They fell too far behind. You saw the power of Banish into Fable in that game. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Esper deck in the Brawl Throne of Eldraine event. You should definitely go play the event. It's free, why not? It takes some getting used to, and the format you can adapt to it, but I seem to get better the more I play it, and it gets more fun. So by all means, go check it out for free on MTG Arena until September 13th. Thank you for watching this video. As always, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.